As I desperately searched for a way out, someone suddenly stood up. "My seat is yours," said the elderly woman as she vacated her chair. "If you hadn't helped me earlier, I might not have made it. You also used the right potion to get the key and saved everyone back at the cabin. I'm old. It's better to give you young people a chance." The rules allowed another guest to take the seat of someone who voluntarily left. My strong will to survive almost compelled me to take that chair, but doing so would mean condemning the kind woman who had offered me her spot. There had to be another way. I had to think quickly. The elderly woman's sacrifice made me realize that sometimes there are unexpected solutions. The rules only dictated that an unseated guest would become afternoon tea, but didn't specify how. If I could find a way to delay the time or interrupt the process, perhaps I could change the outcome. "Thank you," I whispered to her, "but I won't take your seat. There's another way." I looked around, searching for anything that could disrupt the game. My mind raced as I glanced at the bizarre, macabre setup of the table and the peculiar characters around it. There had to be something here, something I could use to buy more time or change the rules in my favor. I glanced around, locking eyes with the Mad Hatter who had settled in first. He leisurely twirled his silver fork, his gaze filled with mockery and pity, fixated on me like I was his prey, as if announcing my demise in advance. The answer dawned on me instantly. About 20 seconds left. With a swift step, I seized his hat and hurled it viciously towards Lolita's seat. Lolita couldn't anticipate the move to dodge, emitting a piercing scream as the hat tore away, leaving half of his face mangled. Even so, he remained glued to the chair, denying me any chance for a counterattack. But it didn't matter because my target wasn't his seat to begin with. "How dare you throw away my hat?" screamed the Mad Hatter as he stood, clutching his bald head and charging towards his hat. Unperturbed, I calmly took the Mad Hatter's vacant seat at the last moment. The Mad Hatter's hat was the most precious possession of the Mad Hatter, not to be touched lightly. Everyone had witnessed the hat's ominous reactions to people, so the general consensus was that puncturing the hat was a perilous act. Yet this rule was more of a narrative trajectory than a strict prohibition. It implied a deeper understanding. To exploit the Mad Hatter's attachment to his hat, one should not resort to such measures unless absolutely necessary. Time was up. The disheveled Mad Hatter finally retrieved his hat, becoming the sole player without a seat. Chuck. "Who tolls the bell?" "It's me. I meditate on the bell toll." I helped him sing the next unfinished nursery rhyme. The cannibal hat, scenting food in the air, with its sharp white fangs plunges into the neck and viciously bites off its master's head. Today's afternoon tea is the most delicious in history. After finishing the rhyme, the March Hare, responsible for chanting the nursery rhymes, reluctantly announced the end of the game. However, the Mad Tea Party was far from over. From somewhere, the March Hare produced 7 sets of neatly arranged tea sets, each cup filled with a bloody-tasting red tea. Including himself, there were 7 guests present. Congratulations to all for passing the test. Now it's time to enjoy a delightful afternoon tea. Among the 7 cups of tea, only one was laced with poison. Each guest was to pick a cup and drink from it. To ensure fairness, I would drink last, leaving the cup that remained untouched. Finishing the previous segment, he hastily added, "Each person may only take 1 cup of tea, and you must drink from your own cup. Sharing a cup with another player or forcing a non-player character to drink is not allowed." I couldn't shake the feeling that his final words were aimed at me. Chubby, the closest to the tea sets, leaned in to sniff but couldn't discern any difference in scent. The colors were all the same. "Wait a minute," he exclaimed. "I've noticed that each cup has a different English word printed on it." We gathered around to inspect the words on the cups. Alice, dream, imagination, Lewis, poker, rabbit, and Wonderland. Chubby scratched his head. "These are all elements from Alice's adventures in Wonderland, except for this mysterious Lewis. This cup must be the poisoned one." The old lady spoke up slowly. "Lewis Carroll is the author of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland." Chubby interrupted. "Do any of you have any relevant rules?" Everyone shook their heads. So far, most of the rules had already been applied, but I remembered the redhead girl mentioning the significance of the Red Queen, which was still unclear. "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" This phrase, quoting the original work, was once asked by the Mad Hatter to Alice. Could this nonsensical rule be a clue? My muttering caught the attention of the mixed-race boy, who had been quietly listening in the corner. He wasn't tall enough to see the cups until he climbed onto a chair. Upon seeing the words on the cups, he rearranged them from their original alphabetical order into a single line. Why is a raven like a writing desk? He stared at the words on the cups, a knowing smile spreading across his face. He picked up the cup with Alice written on it. Chubby anxiously asked, "Do you know something?" The little boy, curious, sniffed the tea's aroma but then furrowed his brow and pushed the cup away slightly. "The key is initials," I exclaimed, suddenly enlightened. Extracting the first letters from the English question yielded 6 letters, WI-22LD. Except for poker, the first letters of the other 6 words corresponded perfectly. Everyone eagerly took the cup corresponding to their letter, leaving the lonely cup marked poker on the table. "It's your turn, bro." Chubby empathetically nudged the cup toward the March Hare. His face displayed anger and reluctance, but he was bound by the rules of the game. With a sigh, he drank the poisoned potion. With the departure of the March Hare, only a hate, now ownerless, remained from the Mad Tea Party. Suddenly, the White Rabbit appeared from nowhere. "Congratulations on passing the 3rd round of tests. Each of you receives a Diamond King card," he hurriedly announced, glancing at his pocket watch, urging everyone to head to the Kingdom of Hearts. "I cannot afford to be late." Until now, it seemed none of the players possessed a Diamond card. As I pondered the content of the freshly acquired Diamond King card, which stated, "Alice has grown up. She is a girl," I couldn't help but wonder what it meant. The bespectacled man had previously mentioned diamonds representing half right, half wrong, but before his demise, he had also mentioned something about the Red Sparrow. He had kept a card up his sleeve. Now that he was gone, only Lolita knew the hidden information about the Red Sparrow. I glanced at him, his right face now a mess of flesh and bone from my earlier hat strike, a wry smile on his lips. It was clear he had no intention of revealing his clue. Soon, we followed the White Rabbit to the Kingdom of Hearts. After passing through the estate's maze, we found a group of card soldiers frantically painting the white roses red upon seeing the White Rabbit carrying a bucket of crimson blood. "Damn it! You need to chop off all their heads!" The Red Queen appeared in the disheveled garden, furious at the sight of many white roses still untouched. As expected, the violent Red Queen intended to execute us on the spot. However, upon hearing the White Rabbit's plea, her attitude shifted. "Since that's the case, I'll give you all a chance to live." After leading everyone to the castle, she announced the rules of the game. Once the game commenced, the 6 players were required to face the throne throughout the entire game. They stood in a line from shortest to tallest, with tall card soldiers surrounding them to isolate and block their view. 3 beautiful maidens with red and white roses atop their heads were positioned behind them, their own rose color unbeknownst to them, and they were prohibited from using mirrors or any other tools to ascertain their own color. In front of each player were 2 goalposts, one red and one white, and starting from the last person in the line, each player had to use a flamingo club to hit a hedgehog into the goalpost corresponding to their rose color. The results of each shot would be broadcasted in real time to all players. If a player chose the wrong answer, they would immediately perish. Before the game began, all players had 5 minutes to discuss their strategy, but once the game started, they were forbidden from making any sounds that could give hints to other players. After the rules were announced, all players carefully considered their options. The short-haired girl muttered, "This puzzle has no solution." The players were separated by card soldiers, unable to see each other's colors. They could only guess their own color based on the results announced so far. If luck was on their side, and the first 3 players were all the same color, the remaining players could determine their own color. The later a player answered, the more advantageous it was, and the last player could use process of elimination to be 100% certain of their color. There were 6 players left in the team: Chubby, the old lady, Lolita, the little boy, the short-haired girl, and myself. All eyes turned to the little boy, the shortest among us, who would be placed at the front of the line and thus be the safest to win lying down. The white rabbit stood by with a Western-style plate in hand, but there was no food on it, only a fork and knife. While the Red Queen appeared to be giving us a chance to fight for our lives, it was actually an insinuation and encouragement for us to kill each other. Before the game officially began, some of us noticed the potential weapons. Seeing the little boy reaching for the knife to defend himself, I quickly intercepted and removed the plate, making myself an immediate target of everyone's animosity. Under the wary gazes of the others, I calmly retrieved a round cookie from my pocket. It was one of those useless, non-poisoned cookies forgotten in the small cabin. With the knife, I divided it into 6 equal pieces. Have you ever heard this saying? If a gun appears in Act 1, it's bound to go off in Act 3. The first puzzle, the pocket watch time, was the simplest question. If everyone cooperated honestly, we could deduce the true information from various conflicting rules. In the second puzzle, the secret room in the cabin, finding the Cheshire Cat first was the breakthrough. This way, Scarface's sacrifice could prevent death in the third puzzle. The nursery rhyme could have used the Mad Hatter's hat to end the game from the start, or like Lolita pushed me, everyone could have cooperated to drive out the Mad Hatter and the March Hare. The red and white roses in this game were similar. Although the game seemed to impose various restrictions, hinting at extreme ways of self-preservation through mutual slaughter, there was actually an optimal solution where everyone emerged unharmed. Chubby stood at the back of the line, eating the cookie. Freed from the confines of the card soldiers, he immediately grew taller, just enough to see the rose colors atop the heads of the 5 players in front of him. With the knowledge of 3 red and 3 white roses, he could confidently determine his own color. The first player hit the white ball, scoring 1 point. It was my turn next. Swallowing the cookie, I saw the previous 4 players had 2 red and 2 white roses. Although I couldn't turn back based on the previous announcements, if Chubby was white, then I must be red. Following suit, everyone successfully completed the test. However, someone seemed dissatisfied with this perfect outcome. Although you've passed this game, to leave the dream world, you need to take one final step, declared the Red Queen, raising her ornate fan. She glanced meaningfully at me. Alice has infiltrated among you players. Each of you has 1 chance to hand over a playing card stained with Alice's blood to me. Players who answer incorrectly will be trapped forever in their nightmares. She distributed the cards to each of us. That's when I understood the significance of the Diamond King card. Alice had grown up. She was a girl. If the Diamond King card represented half-truths and half-lies, then Alice was either a grown-up boy or an underage girl. Only you fit the criteria, I pointed at Chubby, but no one agreed with me. Everyone looked at us with strange eyes. It seems like our cards aren't the same, the short-haired girl read out her card information, leaving the rest of us even more bewildered. After a chaotic discussion, we finally sorted out all the details. So it turns out each person received a different Diamond King card. The little boy's Alice is a girl. Chubby's Alice has naturally curly hair and is still underage. The old lady's Alice wears a skirt and doesn't have black hair. Lolita's Alice wears glasses and doesn't wear a skirt. The short-haired girl's Alice is a boy with black hair. My Alice is an adult woman. Considering the Diamond King can represent half-truths and half-lies, following this logic, the answer seems unsolvable. However, the old lady adjusted her glasses and suggested that Alice might be muddling the waters to conceal her identity, which would be a lie. But it's impossible. Alice can't lie. The little boy revealed his black spade 5. My rule says Alice can actively lie regarding card-related questions. This implies that the black spade, in turn, prohibits Chubby, who then presented the red star 5. Both of them proved the truthfulness of this rule. At this point, all the existing card contents had been disclosed, except for one hidden message, the red heart ace. What exactly was the content of the red heart play? If you refuse to say, then you must be Alice, because you can't lie, only conceal. All eyes focused on Lolita. Come on, don't be so harsh. Weren't you the last one to reveal Rule 5's content? Keeping an ace up your sleeve is only human nature. But even at this point, Lolita remained indifferent, as if all this was just an irrelevant game. As for the red heart ace, it was the glasses that lied in the beginning. The Diamond King wasn't half-truths and half-lies, but rather, the information on each individual card was either entirely true or entirely false, randomly assigned. After he announced the final hidden information, the previously contradictory puzzles suddenly became clear. Without paper and pen, we were forced to use the red paint of unknown origin to smear on the ground, knocking down. 1. Alice with black hair and still underage. Wrong. The only underage boy was the little boy who had brown hair. No such person. 2. Alice is a boy with black hair. Wrong. The intentionally pushed Alice does not have black hair. 3. Alice is an adult woman. Correct. The intentionally pushed Alice is a woman. 4. Alice wears a skirt and doesn't have black hair. Correct. The intentionally pushed Alice does not have black hair. 5. Alice wears glasses and doesn't wear a skirt. Wrong. The intentionally pushed Alice wears a skirt. 6. Alice is a girl with naturally curly hair. Correct. The intentionally pushed Alice is a girl. Based on all the corrected information above, Alice's portrait is that of an adult woman, not wearing glasses but wearing a skirt, with hair not being black but naturally curly. All the clues pointed to the only person who fit this description. Wearing a Lolita-style dress with golden curly hair, I always suspected it was her from the beginning. She seemed uneasy, hiding crucial information and even deliberately misleading others during the nursery rhyme game. While little Chubby sternly accused Alice, she remained calm, smiling without offering any defense. I hesitated. This was the final test, yet the deductions seemed too easy. Could it truly not be a trap? As I saw little Chubby about to dip the blank card into the blood on Lolita's cheek, I grabbed him back. I wanted to see if there were any signs of lying on Lolita's face, but she maintained a composed and fearless expression. "What's wrong? If you think it's me, then hand over your answer." "The Red Queen is waiting for you," she taunted, seemingly unfazed by the blood on her face as she pretended to reach for my card. I swiftly moved behind her, grabbed her hair, and pulled off her wig, revealing a tangle of white native hair underneath. There were no traces of dyeing or perming. She wasn't naturally curly-haired. It was obviously straight hair like little Chubby's. The perfect smile on Lolita's face finally faltered as she snatched the wig from my hand, attempting to put it back on. "Why are you like this? Ruining someone's appearance is too much," she protested. I paid her no further attention. The only suitable candidate had been eliminated. Was the deduction wrong, or had Lolita intentionally muddled the waters, lying about the properties of the Diamond K? Or perhaps there was an accomplice among the players who gave false information. Reflecting on the Red Queen's rule announcement and the meaningful glance, I realized Alice had infiltrated the players. Alice was an adult woman, didn't wear glasses, wore a skirt, had non-black hair, and had naturally straight hair. But what if Alice wasn't among the 6 of us? What if there were more players than just the 6 of us present? There happened to be a perfect corresponding candidate on the scene. Turning towards the Red Queen, I ascended the steps, each one with a gleaming dining knife in hand. A faint crack appeared on the Red Queen's exquisitely cold face. With a single wave of his hand, the soldiers surged towards me, but my size had already turned into that of various paper cards, rendering them ineffective against me. "Red Queen," I addressed her. "Shouldn't call you that anymore." I effortlessly slashed her cheek with the dining knife. "You included yourself among the players, didn't you, Alice, the game designer?" The girl with the crown on her head remained silent, tacitly confirming my suspicion. The blank card, stained with blood, revealed a heart symbol. Originally, it bore the portrait of the Red Queen. Seeing my successful guess of Alice's identity, the others followed suit, staining their cards with the Red Queen's blood. The game ended. Alice, the player, had failed her mission and was about to be erased by the game. A familiar mechanical voice rang out. Mr. White Rabbit, who had been absent for a long time, emerged from the shadows in the corner. Frames around Alice began to glitch and flicker. "You're not the game designer," I realized, attempting to reach out to him, only to pass through her transparent body. Alice sighed and shook her head at me. "I'm just like you all, a player in this world. The difference is, while ordinary players aim to survive and escape the nightmare, my task is to trap everyone here." She explained everything to me with a smile, no longer needing to play the violent Red Queen, relieved to be herself again. "It's a pity, almost winning. she lamented. I never wanted to design so many dreadful games, causing harm. I just wanted to survive this game like everyone else. The surroundings gradually faded, leaving only black and white hues. The nightmare was about to end, and what would happen in reality after the game failed? In the collapsing chaos of the illusion, I shouted at Alice, "Good luck to you all." She didn't respond to my question, but slowly closed her eyes. Her body and consciousness disintegrated as the game concluded. Opening my eyes again, I found myself alone in the vast auditorium. I had been awakened by the janitor cleaning up the trash. "What about the others?" I asked. "The other viewers have already left," the janitor replied. "You've been sleeping here for a while. The next movie is about to start, and we need to clear the theater, so I woke you up." An unnamed fear enveloped my mind. This couldn't possibly be another dream. I lied, claiming to have lost something valuable, and persuaded the staff to take me to the cinema manager. After a long application process, I finally saw the faces of the audience in the surveillance footage. I tried hard to recall the players from the game, the old lady, the man with glasses, the Lolita, the little boy. But, to my surprise, none of their familiar faces appeared on the screen. In the final moments of the surveillance, everyone left the theater while the credits rolled, leaving me alone with my eyes closed tight until the end of the credits, which revealed no post-credit scene. I stumbled out of the cinema in a daze, fragments of the illusion attacking my brain relentlessly. Vivid memories reminded me it wasn't a dream. Perhaps the other players weren't in the same cinema as me when we entered the game. I returned to my rental house and tried to search on my computer, but didn't know where to start. I had forgotten to ask for their names. Taking the risk of being deemed insane, I anonymously posted a lengthy account on social media, attempting to find others who had experienced similar events. However, no matter how I modified the text, I couldn't convey any relevant information. At that inconvenient moment, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, I found no one outside, only a peculiar playing card dropping through the gap. It was a red ace of hearts. Picking it up, I turned it over to reveal the message. Player confirmed. Congratulations on passing the second level. Please accept the game souvenir. The third round will be loaded and played in 1 week. Please be patient. Good luck. The end.